is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance.
Jeff Mayweather delivered a fierce verdict on the shot Crawford handed to Canelo, declaring that this defeat will forever be engraved on Canelo's legacy. In Jeff's eyes, Canelo was the undisputed king of his division, carrying status, power, and absolute dominance over every opponent. Yet he was humbled in his own fortress by a man courageous enough to climb in weight and challenge him at the peak of his reign. For Jeff, this was not a small blemish, but a permanent stain that boxing history will never erase. He reminded the world that champions in their prime are remembered by defining moments, and for Canelo, that defining moment turned into a crushing loss against Crawford.
But either way, he was in discussion certainly with Chavez. What does this do to his legacy? Because I don't think he caught, the Floyd fight didn't give him, people didn't really look down on, because even though he had 40 fights, he was still, fighting one of the greatest ever and an absolute master. In B-Vol, he went up weight classes to win. But now he's fighting a smaller guy, a great fighter, but a smaller guy. Does this damage his legacy in any way?
I think it does. I think it does because, the one thing is that, you were ruling, you were the king of that weight class. And the king of that weight class for a good while. And I think that, he had a huge following because, he became the face of boxing.
And even though it's another, future Hall of Famer, still losing, losing a guy come up a couple weight classes, kind of makes you seem not as great as you might have been.
Smith stood in awe of Crawford's victory and poured out unfiltered admiration. He stressed that he witnessed this historic moment firsthand, making it even more personal for him. According to Smith, no one in boxing history has ever done what Terence Crawford just accomplished, moving up in weight to conquer a dominant champion like Canelo in such decisive fashion. He called it a career-defining triumph that separates Crawford from the rest, ensuring this night will be etched forever in boxing's rich history. For Smith, this wasn't just a fight. It was a monumental shift in the very definition of greatness.
This was Terence Bud Crawford moving up 2 weight divisions, really 3 in my mind, because he only fought 1 fight at the junior middleweight division. So he's really moving up from 147 pounds, okay? Terence Bud Crawford moving up to the 168-pound limit in an effort to claim the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world from the grasp of Saul Canelo Alvarez. Now, I was there because let me tell you something right now. There's very, very few sporting events in the world that are better than a super fight in Vegas. I can tell you that right now. There's very, very few events. Props to Nick Khan of the WWE.
Crawford's trainer left no room for doubt after the fight, declaring that his fighter has nothing left to prove. In his view, Terence has reached a level where respect should be unquestioned. Yet critics still try to deny him. This frustration showed that even after dismantling one of boxing's biggest names, Crawford is still forced to fight battles outside the ring. His trainer made it clear that Terence isn't even thinking about another fight right now, so what he did against Canelo is more than enough to seal his greatness. For Crawford, this was never about chasing names. It was about building a legacy that cannot be denied.
Terence Crawford and his well-renowned trainer, 2-time trainer of the year and future Hall of Fame trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, recently did an interview in which Bomac stated that a fight is not happening. And this particular fight is a fight that everybody wanted to see Canelo Alvarez take, and Canelo Alvarez refused to take this fight with a 28-year-old 2-division world champion, reigning WBC light heavyweight, former two-time WBC super middleweight, the Mexican Ecuadorian superstar boxer, who's one of my favorite fighters and a great person, David, the Mexican Ecuadorian monster Benavidez, who is 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout, stands at 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach and fights at 175. But the entire time David Benavidez was fighting at 168, Canelo Alvarez was brought up and he never accepted the fight. And so with that said, now people are trying to project this fight on Terence Crawford. And they're saying that Terence Crawford needs to take the fight. So Bo Mack yesterday did an interview and Bo Mack said they're not fighting David Benavidez. And so now people are pushing this notion that Terence Crawford is ducking and Terence Crawford is scared of David Benavidez. And if he don't fight David Benavidez, according to Boxing News 24,
Timothy Bradley delivered one of the boldest assessments. Comparing Crawford directly with Floyd Mayweather, he argued that Crawford's name now belongs at the very top of any greatest of all-time debate. For Bradley, this wasn't just about Crawford defeating Canelo. It was about redefining what pound-for-pound supremacy really means. He stressed that while Floyd mastered the craft of boxing in his time, Crawford just proved he can do it on an even greater scale by toppling Canelo at his absolute strongest. In Bradley's eyes, this victory elevated Crawford into a realm where only the sport's true immortals exist.
It might be too late now. It might be too late, because guess what? He done. Ain't nothing else he needs to do. Ain't nothing else he needs to do in boxing. Yep. Y'all doubt him now? Y'all doubt him now? I saw some of y'all goofies on y'all channels. You come here and you get the real over here. That's what you get over here. You want the real? You want a real breakdown from a real fighter, a Hall of Famer? That's what you do. You come right here and you gonna get the real and you gonna get the truth. Dang it. That's what you gonna get. Leave them other lames alone and come right on over here. Yeah, and get the truth and nothing but the truth. I've been trying to tell y'all for years about this. Been trying to tell y'all for years about Terence Crawford. Everybody put his resume down.
Roy Jones Jr. gave a measured take, pointing out the key difference between Crawford's victory and Floyd Mayweather's win years ago. He explained that Floyd fought a young and experienced Canelo, one he could outbox with superior skill and ring IQ, but Crawford faced a fully matured, dominant version of Canelo, the one who had ruled his division for years. Despite being the naturally smaller man, Crawford still dismantled him. For Roy, this fact alone makes Crawford's achievement extraordinary, because he overcame a Canelo who was wiser, stronger, and sharper than the one Floyd defeated.
Generational great in Canelo Alvarez, really 3 weights above his natural weight class. Does that put him in the conversation with the likes of yourself as the greatest fighter of all time?
Yes, it does. And the reason it does is because he couldn't get the credibility down in his own weight class, so he went up to go challenge himself to find it. And he found a very formidable, good opponent.
Do you think Canelo Alvarez is on the decline or not?
No, I don't think he's on decline at all.
So you think both fighters are still at their peak, even though they're 36, 37?
Yeah, I think they're both still at their peak. The age for Crawford would seem like he may be beyond it, but he hasn't had the fights, the tough fights we'd have put him there. And the years of boxing for Canelo would have put him in a position where they're about equal. So I think they both are pretty much in a great place. I think they're both still in their primes, and this is the best time to see them fight.
Duke McKenzie was stunned by what unfolded inside the ring. In his eyes, Canelo had no answers for Crawford's relentless pressure, blazing speed, and pinpoint precision. He called the performance unbelievable, incredible, one of the most complete displays modern boxing has ever witnessed. McKenzie highlighted that Crawford not only became undisputed, but also proved himself practically untouchable, even against the most dangerous opponents. His tone carried both awe and respect, as he declared that Crawford has set a standard so high very few fighters, if any, will ever reach it.
Know that feeling. Do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable. He's a 3-time undisputed world champion, and he's beaten the best of the best. Now, for me, there were red flags way before this fight. Not way before the fight. You know, in the build up to this fight, Canelo's body language in the run up to this fight. You know, He turned up. He turned up in Vegas in his stretch limo, in his Armani suit. He's had his kids and his wife in the back of the car, and he's got out and he's strolling around like he owns the gaff. Now, that all that signified to me was a very comfortable man. He was too comfortable. And Terence Crawford just kept it real from the outset. Tracksuit, no nonsense, went there to win, said what he was going to do, told the world what he was going to do long before the fight. I think he asked for this fight many years ago. The discussion he had with Bill Haney. And I think it was him that actually suggested call out Canelo, which he laughed at the beginning, but then it came to fruition. And now it's come to fruition. I mean, what you saw in that fight yesterday, what I watched in that fight yesterday, it was for the purists. It really was, because you really have to try and understand boxing and know what you're looking at. It was the feints. It was the way that he handled the bigger man. It was the little feints, the little side steps, the little flicking with the jabs, hitting him with the head and the body, the little combinations, the little twos and threes. And also with Crawford, knowing how to close around, knowing how to win rounds.
Trainer Robert Garcia gave one of the strongest validations of Crawford's greatness, insisting he accomplished more than Floyd Mayweather in this context. He pointed out that Crawford dominated Canelo round after round, winning 9 or even 10 convincingly, with a hunger that Floyd never showed at such a risky level. Garcia emphasized that Mayweather never took the gamble of moving up to dismantle a bigger, stronger champion this way. That's why Crawford's win is both unique and historic. For Garcia, it wasn't about belts or numbers. It was about daring to risk everything and succeeding. The true mark of legends.
Canelo has already accomplished too much, has already done too much, and he wasn't, I don't see that hunger in him anymore. I don't see those changes anymore. He fights flat-footed, throws one punch at a time. He's not fast anymore, and that's why I picked Crawford by decision.
Are you surprised how easy it was?
Look, not that I'm surprised, because what I just told you, I think Crawford is very talented, and Crawford is hungry to become a legend. He wanted to become that three division undisputed. He wanted to go up. He wanted to make history by going up 2 divisions to beat Canelo, one of the greatest of all time. So he was hungry for it. I think Canelo has already done so much, has made so much money that he's not hungry anymore.
You think possibly that Crawford is up there with Pacquiao or Mayweather?
I think in accomplishments, he's 3 division undisputed, moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure. Mayweather never became undisputed, but that doesn't mean he's better than Mayweather. I think in a fight at welterweight, Mayweather in his prime would beat Crawford, and Pacquiao in his prime would probably beat Crawford. But Crawford has accomplished more.
Do you think Crawford should retire after this or fight someone else?
Look, I think a rematch would be fucking good for Crawford to just beat him again and do the same thing. If Canelo doesn't have any changes, he needs to do a lot of changes. Canelo needs to do a lot of changes. I think a rematch would do triple the money that he did in this fight and then retire. But I would be so happy to hear he retires.
Brian Norman Sr. spoke with absolute conviction, declaring that Crawford's destruction of Canelo Alvarez was far more punishing than anything Floyd Mayweather ever did. His words hit home with fans and analysts because they captured the raw truth of what happened in the ring. Canelo, long hailed as the king of his division, wasn't simply beaten. He was systematically broken down by a man who climbed to weight classes to face him. Crawford's masterclass redefined greatness in modern boxing. For years, Canelo reigned as the face of the sport, crushing big names and standing nearly untouchable. But in one night, Crawford shattered that aura. What shocked the world was not just the result, but the way it happened. Canelo wasn't edged on points. He was outclassed, left searching for answers that never came.
So I bet against Bud on Porter. I didn't think that Bud was the best. I got to give it to him. Bud the best, right? He hands down. He the best. He the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of got to give him his respect, no matter what. You got to give him his respect. He just went up 2 weight classes what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people say he can't do, and he is doing it with ease. Right? You got to respect that.
Break it down for me. How did he win that fight in the way he won it tonight?
He won the fight by gaining Canelo's respect. I think he was already in Canelo's head a little bit. I think that even though Canelo knew he was smaller and everything else, these fighters are still humans and they hear what the people are saying. Canelo was I'm sorry, not Canelo. Crawford was undefeated. Look at what he did to the Spence. I mean, look at what he's doing to some of these people. So no matter what, I mean, you have to take that into consideration. You know what I'm saying? Even no matter what he did against Makrimov or whatever else, you got to take into consideration what Bud has been known to do when it's time to do it. You know what I'm saying? So again, I think Canelo respected him, and I think that was the biggest part.
Canelo just said in the press conference that Crawford's better than Mayweather. Having shared the ring with both. What do you think?
I mean, I think that's one of the things. I think that's one of the things that's it's an opinionated situation because styles make fights. He beat him up. He beat Canelo up worse than Mayweather beat him up. He definitely did that. So in that case, you can ask the question: did he beat him up worse than Floyd did? Absolutely. But I mean, that would be an opinionated thing because styles make fights. You just never know. You know what I'm saying?
Different eras as
well,
right?
Different eras, different. It's a lot of things. You can't really say that.
Andre Ward, a legend himself, placed Crawford's victory into its rightful historical light. He described it as a generational fight, one that fans will remember for decades as a turning point in boxing. Ward explained that moments like these define careers and separate great fighters from timeless legends. What impressed him most was Crawford's discipline, staying sharp, composed, and intelligent from start to finish, never letting emotions break his focus. For Ward, this was a GOAT moment that pushed Crawford into the conversation of the greatest fighters ever. By dismantling Canelo in such dominant fashion, Crawford lifted himself onto a pedestal where only the rarest of legends can stand.
3 Canelo Alvarez time. What was your thoughts on that performance from Terence?
Terence Crawford, great performance, man. He's been doing this throughout the course of his career. The stakes were a lot different in this fight, a lot more danger. He had to fight that kind of fight in order to beat Canelo Alvarez tonight. And he did that at 37, but getting ready to be 38 years old. And he proved, like Max said, that he is the GOAT of this generation. Hats off to Canelo for taking the fight. He didn't have to take it. Hats off to Turkey Al-Sheikh for putting it together. Just a great night for boxing. Yeah.
How special a fighter is someone like Terence Crawford? There was no signs of a size disadvantage there.
How special? You can see it in spots, but it wasn't significant. And I didn't think it was going to be significant. And people call me crazy, but I've been around Terence. He's strong. He's got a wrestling background, and people don't realize that he's been boiling himself down all these years and still being successful, not having to do that. His condition seemed impeccable, and his strength was there. The power was there enough to get respect from Canelo. So what more can I say?
What would you like to see him do next? You think there's another fight after this?
I'd like to see him be done. What are we boxing for at this point? What else is there to do? There's always going to be a YouTuber or a reporter or somebody conjuring up another challenge. We box to get ourselves in a better financial position, to build a name and a legacy. Those boxes are checked. What else are we doing?